want to stay on for long. It's already late. I'm already tired and I need to get up early. So let's make it happen. Um, Talking about the Cincinnati Brawl that happened 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago in Cincinnati, Ohio. And uh, I so it seemed like it got political really quickly. Like people took sides on who was to blame. Um, I, as with most things, it's messy. There's no, it doesn't look like there's any clear good guys here because once you dig into like the alleged uh origins of the fight, it looks like it got messy on both sides pretty quickly. Um, I I don't want to go into it until I see some people in the chat room. It's funny when people say, "Oh, you're talking to yourself." Well, this will be up on on my channel, uploaded after I go live, so it makes sense to not just have dead air, because I've seen several live streams where people are literally just doing nothing. Either they're not even in the like they're not either in the camera themselves. I'm like, what is the point of you live streaming if you're not going to even show yourself on the camera? And if you're not going to show yourself on camera, have something at least visual stimulating for the chat room and the audience to look at. It just looks creepy when you have these live streams and there's literally nothing going on. Like, what is that? That just seems very weird to me. And also, or like they are talking, but again, they're talking from a place where they're hiding themselves. Now, if there's reasons for that, I understand. But sometimes people are just doing it to be weird. People, so I don't do that. I'll like keep the conversation moving until people appear in the chat room. So thank you to everyone coming into the chat room. So again, my topic is about the Cincinnati Brawl. I'm pretty sure some of you might know more information about that than I do. But um, what I want to say about that, it the brawl happened because people took on some YNs 2 days ago. Leave YNs alone. They are they are like Gen X 2.0. What's up, Carlton? So I didn't know that Cincinnati had a large black population, but apparently they do, and it's a lot, and a lot of them are ratchet. When people talk about black fatigue, they're really talking about ratchet fatigue or ghetto fatigue, not black people themselves. It's they're either talking about they're tired of the ratchetness of black people, or they're talking about they're tired of, or sometimes when white people use black fatigue because it didn't start with them, but they, of course, they uh, try to repurpose the term, but when they use it, they're talking about they're tired of um, black victimhood, and I get that too. But in any case, YN stands for Young Ninjas, and you know what I mean by ninjas. So a bunch of young ninjas beat up some white people in Cincinnati, Ohio, a few days ago, and it's been all over the news. Everyone putting their spin on it. In right-leaning news, they just basically said it was a bunch of thugs, and we know thugs is racially coded, although it can be quite appropriately used in this context. So, from what I've gathered, it, these young black dudes, the YNs, didn't they didn't just randomly attack these white people. what happened allegedly, because I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a matter of adjudication in the courts now, but allegedly what actually happened was that the white people started it because these weren't just white Americans, these were some Russians, and they're not used, you know, people in Eastern Europe and Central Asia aren't used to dealing with black Americans. They don't know. We're not like Africans. We don't take shit. Like, no. Especially because a lot of the Africans that come, I'm going to be honest, and I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm honest. A lot of the Africans that come to like parts of Europe and Asia do a lot of stupid shit. They scam and they're annoying. Like they either scamming or begging. And so being that they're at the bottom of the social totem pole in these countries, they can get treated any what way. Over here, we may not be at the top of the social totem pole here, but black Americans, foundational black Americans, aren't taking shit. And that's what happened. So apparently a Russian guy up and slapped some black woman or black person. I think it was a black woman. And so these YNs mobbed around this guy and beat the shit out of him. Um, but what happened in the interim of that is that it went overboard like YNs do. YNs take things to the next level. And it's like Dennis Sperling was saying, a lot of people make fun of YNs saying they look effeminate because they're wearing these little skinny jeans. They got the long hair, and they look all skinny and whatever. But they will fight. I'll give them that. YNs will beat your butt. Like they will kick your ass, regardless of how they look. They will fight. YNs will fight. They may not look tough because yeah, I mean, but looking tough and being ready to and being willing to scrap are two different things. YNs have nothing to lose. And like I said, they took it too far because not only did they beat the guy up, they they beat the shit out of some white woman who came over to protect the white guy who they were stomping out. They were stomping out this the white guy, and this white woman came over to protect him, and they mollywopped her apparently. And I'm like, all right, now y'all taking it too far. Like, yeah, okay, I can see if y'all want to form like Voltron on some dude that thought he could just put hands on a random black chick, but y'all took it too far. On top of that, I mean, apparently everybody was drunk and kung fu fighting. I'm just I'm joking, but no, everybody was drunk. It was in some. It was and I think this was like downtown Cincinnati and like you know uh, around the bar scene, and it's 3 a.m. Here's another thing: nothing good that happens at 3 a.m. If you ever saw How I Met Your Mother, I think Ted Mosby's mom told him that nothing good happens after 1 a.m. If that's true, definitely nothing happens good at 3 a.m. Like they're coming, you coming out the bar, the clubs at 3 a.m. First of all, that's already a bad sign because most clubs don't even stay open that late anymore. Like it hasn't been since like the mid 2000s that people were still coming out of the clubs around 2 a.m. or so. But the thing is, most young people don't even hang out that late. Like it 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 didn't come from older people. It came from younger people. It came from Gen Z people saying 9 p.m. is the new midnight. That started with young people. That didn't start with the older folks. The older folks, we used to stay up late. We stayed. Look, I remember coming out the club in DC around 2 a.m. Then we were parking lot pimp for like an hour. we'd be parking lot pimping for about an hour, then run off to like IHOP or McDonald's, and then just crash and then get up for work. Like be back up around like 8 9 a.m. to get ready for work the next day. I mean, you could do that when you're like 18, 19, 20 years old, right? But young people today don't hang out, like don't tend to do that. Like some of them still stay up late, but when they stay up late, most of them are in the house, or or they're or they're chilling with friends at their place. Like I don't see them like just out just doing stuff. The only time I see a bunch of dudes hanging out that late at night, they're doing something wrong. Like I did a late night run last week and caught these two monkeys um, trying to break into somebody's car. The car alarm's literally blaring, and they're still trying to crack the door open until they see me, and then they run off because they see me in my reflective vest, so they think I'm private security. Carson says 3 a.m. is very significant. It is actually the darkest period of night. I didn't know that. But yeah, nothing good happens at 3 a.m. So if you are drunk and you coming out the bar at 3 a.m., there's nothing good coming out of that, right? You see how they here in the chat trolling. I don't see anybody trolling because I mean I think whoever's trolling like Streamlabs is putting my little cloud bot through Streamlabs is already putting the Hemi down. I just see a bunch of random people saying hi but not following up with it. So I don't really respond if people just say hi and don't say anything else because to me it looks like a bot. I'm assuming they're real people though, but when people just say hi and they use that little hand wave emoji, it looks it looks kind of spammy. But yeah, guys, if you can hit the subscribe button to help me out. Um, Also, you can like and share the video. Liking helps a lot. Sharing the video helps as well. Help me grow the channel. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subs by the end of the year. Still got just I still have almost 8,000 to go. So it doesn't sound like it, but it is doable. That's what she said. But um, but in any case, yeah. So the Cincinnati Brawl was basically a bunch of YNs who beat up some Russian dude or dudes who thought they could put hands on a black person. They're all drunk, so they're all already showing poor judgment. But the YNs took it way too far and just mobbed up on these folks, and so they made it look bad. They made it look hot. Like YNs are basically the thugs of the thugs 2.0. We were called thugs and super predators in the 90s, and now we call them YNs. But you know, don't mess with YNs. Leave them alone. You know what I'm saying? Like leave them alone. Like everyone's already drunk. It's late at night, and you think you're gonna just put hands on a black person because you aren't from America, not knowing that black Americans fight back. We are not Africans. We're not black Brits. Black Brits are basically just African too. Um, yeah, well, we're not Euro black people. We are foundational black American. We will fight. We will scrap. And that's both YNs and the older adults. We will fight. So that's what happened with the Cincinnati Brawl. I don't really have too much to say about it unless someone else wants to like chime in on that. But I just thought it was funny. I mean, I didn't think the part was funny when a woman got hit because all she was doing was trying to protect her friend or her man, whoever it was. So it was out of line to crack her like that. But YNs don't care. Like YNs do not care about decorum. They don't care about your age. They don't care about your race. They don't care about your gender. They will if you disres. The thing is, some YNs are chill as hell. Like you gotta like push their buttons to make them go off. But once you push those buttons, it's on like Donkey Kong, right? I know that's such an old phrase. I'm Gen X guys, but yeah, um, most YNs are chill to you push their buttons. He said some YNs are young and full of perks and ready to set it off. No, yeah, but the perks are usually the thing that chill them out though. Like I said, you got to get them out of character because if they already like dumbed out off of Molly and Percocets, Molly Perc. I'm so bad that they actually sung that in Rick and Morty. Like if you never saw that episode of Rick and Morty, that shit is hilarious. That was like one of my funniest episodes. They literally singing Molly Percocets or Rick and Morty. I haven't saw the new season yet. I gotta see it because uh, James Gunn appears on it. You know the new head of DC Studios. He has a cameo appearance, but I haven't seen the new season yet since I'm not connected to cable, and my usual uh, pirating site has not been working very well in the past 6 months. But I'm going to check out the new season. But yeah, they were singing Molly Percocets and like back in like what was it like season 2 or season 3 or something like that. It was hilarious. But yeah, usually they're dumbed out on some sort of like um sedative drug. Um, so you gotta get them out of character. But like I said, that's what happens when everyone's drunk and it's 3 a.m. Like nothing happens good at 3 a.m. outside of getting some, you know, and sometimes getting that at 3 a.m. ain't that great of an idea either. That can go, that can go, that can go wrong in so many ways. Like I said, when we were the young ninjas back then, like we used to hit the club scene. Like clubs were still thriving back then. They're thriving overseas, by the way. Like if you still love the club scene, Asia, East Asia has a thriving club scene. Going to places like Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, um, even parts of China, like like Shanghai. But the the but I think we've reached the crescendo of of nightlife when it came to clubs in the late '90s, early 2000s. After that, it kind of dipped down. Like now, most most guys are smart enough not to go to the clubs. The girls are only dancing with guys who look like ballers. Meanwhile, the guys who are really about you know building themselves up aren't wasting their time at the club because one, they're not going to spend thousands of dollars popping bottles and all that dumb shit. Only people doing that are like entertainers and athletes, which is who these women are hoping to find in the club. Meanwhile, they dance with themselves. The guys get blocked. That's not fun. Um, Whereas we were just dancing with everyone. I remember one club, particularly DC live streams on the new clubs. Nah, I'm gonna say fitness gyms are the new clubs. This is where you're gonna see the most attractive people at nighttime. Is in the fitness gyms. Most people are in the fitness gyms. Like it seemed like it's just like the fitness trend of the early '80s when fitness gyms really became trendy in the early '80s. So much so they did a movie about that with John Travolta and and what's that chick name from the from the Halloween movies? But like people, like the 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 club scene is whack now. Like a lot of people go, but the people going are not the people you want to meet. Like I said, most of the women going there are these shallow chicks looking for ballers. Meanwhile, the real ballers are about their money, so they're not going to waste it going to the club popping bottles. Whereas the only people going to the that are doing that and have with the money to waste are either athletes and entertainers or hustlers. And so these women are typically looking for that. If you're the average guy, you're probably not going to have fun in the clubs anymore. Whereas the average guy was having oodles of fun because the girls back in the 90s and the 2000s were just there to have fun as well. As long as as long as you look decent, you smelled well, you know, maybe had a little game. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to like use like the biggest thing back then was like having a really nice car. I mean, that still helps today. But like, after the club, we used to do the parking lot pimping back in the 2000s. So after the club, after the party is the after party, and after part. Let me stop. But but no, like after the club, you would come out and people would just like be walking around the parking lot area, checking. You checking women out, they checking you out. Some people just hanging off the hood of the car, or they inside the car spinning the block looking for other people. Um, it was fun. It it was mad fun. Like we did that in D.C. I know they were doing that up in places like New York, New Jersey, and Philly, Baltimore as well. But Baltimore has some ugly bitches. I'm just gonna I'm gonna keep it a buck. Baltimore has some ugly chicks. Like so, although I went to a few clubs in Baltimore, it was never popping like it was in D.C. And like I said, you didn't have to be you did not have to be an elite you did not have to be the most elite male to have fun at that time. Everyone was having trying to have fun. Women were trying to have fun. Guys were trying to have fun. I remember we went to I remember going to DC Live. It was so packed in there that you literally had to dance. Like we were packed in there like sardines. So if a girl was like right up on you, as soon as the music, as, as soon as the as soon as the DJ you know um, faded into another song, and a girl started, that was it. That was it. Like you were dancing, like you were grinding, like that was like one of the. I had a lot of great club nights, but that had to be one of the best ones. I went with my cousins. We were all from Baltimore, but again, we all knew that Baltimore had a whack nightlife, so we all used to hang out in DC. We went to DC Live that night. Like I said, was epic. That was just an epic night. Like even on the stairs, it was so crowded. Like people were just grinding on the stairs too. Like everywhere, it was wall to wall, just fun. Like man, I don't know how many women I danced with and girls. Like the biggest, the most stressful time, the most stressful thing that would happen in the club is like when you walked up on the chick trying to dance with her, and you put your pelvis on her butt, and then she arched around and looked back at you to make sure you're not ugly or creepy or something. And that few seconds was like crucial. And they would either smile and turn back around and start grinding on you, or they'd like and walk away. But I don't think that ever happened to me. Not that I'm like Denzel Washington or anything like that, but I don't I don't think I got that rejection. Usually the only the only time I got rejected is if the girl said I'm with my I'm with my man, or they no no no. If I approach them, right, and they would either say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm with my boyfriend or whatever," or they would say, "I'll dance, but I don't grind." I'm like, "That's cool." So I respected that. If they told me I'll dance with you, but I don't grind, I respect that. That's a girl I would want to date. that like that when they said that, that actually scored points. I mean, usually I was a little disappointed because I was trying to get my get my dry hump on. But I did respect it when they said, no, like keep it a little distance. Like I'm trying, like they wanted to be respectful. I respected that, but I never got the, I never got that. I don't believe I could be misremembering one or two times where that happened, but almost never happened. That I got the and they walked away. These are summer nights, hot women, banging music, facts. Like I said, it was lit back then. I went to one or two clubs in Philly. They weren't that great either. Again, Philly women are ugly too. I'm sorry guys. I'm not trying to be mean. I love Philly. I don't love Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore. I love some aspects of Baltimore, like the Oreos. And that's kind of it. And the Walter Museum art and the Walter Museum Art Gallery. What else I like in Baltimore? Uh, Damn. I'll have to get back to you with that. What's up, Howard? I haven't seen you in a while, man. What's up back at the um? But but yeah, getting back to the Cincinnati thing again. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. Guys. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. So if you find yourself in a brawl in any downtown metropolis, ask yourself this: why am I out at 3 a.m.? Like I said, even at the height of the club scene back in the late 90s and in the early 2000s, almost none of the clubs let out that late. At the latest, we got out at like 2:30, sometimes 3, but I don't remember very many letting out at 3. Usually it was around 2:30. Now you might not leave until 3, but that's a different thing. But the clubs usually shut down around 2:30. It may differ in some cities. Maybe some cities stayed open later, especially because it's different time zones. But I believe Cincinnati is in the central time zone, which makes it even later. That would make it 4 a.m. here. Wait, did I, yeah, that would be like 4 a.m. here, right? If it's in the central time zone. Um, but I think Cincinnati's. I can't remember if Cincinnati's in central or eastern time zone. Mm. He's a hey Carlton, do the Carlton. Hey Santos, do the illegal immigrant. Do the ICE. Do the you getting deported. See how that works? See how that racism works? Yeah, not good, is it? Anyway, moving on. Carlton, they don't know I'm Gen X, right? They always try it. Do the no, I'm not go. I know go. I know go to Mexico. I live here. I am American. I'm American, but viva la Mexico. Arriba, arriba, see, not good. Not good to be racist. Not good to troll. Not good to troll a content creator. especially that that content creators from Generation X. Not good. Carter says they don't know what they're in for messing with Gen X, right? We used to roast each other for fun every day at school, and they want to try us now. Like Howard said, he's a lay it on, bro. But yeah, getting back to the Cincinnati brawl. So there were no heroes here. But um, like I said, what's at, seemingly started the brawl was that a Russian man went off and slapped a black chick, and then these all these YNs came in and mobbed the guy and beat the crap out of him. But they took it too far and you know, they started going ham at this guy, and they even beat up a woman who was trying to, stand over him and protect him. I was like, all right, don't put hands on a woman. That's not cool. Like she wasn't trying to fight them. All she did is she came out and tried to stop, like, get them off of him. But again, these people don't understand YNs. YNs don't care. Like they have no values. Like they don't hold family values. Don't. And my thing is, like I said, a lot of YNs are chill till you get to you get them out there. You get them out of character. A lot of YNs are chill when you until you get them out of character. But other YNs are just psychotic. So I'm not gonna front. There are a bunch of YNs who give rise to the whole black fatigue because they are psychotic. Like they it might be because of the drug use, it might or other substances. It may be because they come from broken homes. All of those are excuses though. They don't really, you know. I mean, all of those are poor excuses, right? Like they can do some explanation, but not any exculpation. Like a lot of them just need, I don't know. I don't know if they need Jesus or they need, I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. But like I said, so we seen some people already charged with the crimes. Like I said, nothing. If like I said on How I Met Your Mother, Ted Mosby's mother told him nothing good happens at 1 a.m., which is kind of true unless you're getting some food. Like late night food is kind of cool. Like I don't like if you can break that rule within certain sheltered environments where thing you can do cool things late at night. Like what's the that cookie place that used to only be open at late night? I think it was called Midnight Cookie or something like that. I still have not eaten any of those, but it was like this midnight cookie place that only was open late at night, and it served cookies and it served ice cream, which means you're probably gonna be fat if you eating like if you eating some like mega sugary fatty cookies 2 a.m. and or some ice cream. It's good as fuck, but probably shouldn't be eating at like 2 a.m. But again, if you're in like a sheltered environment, you know, it may not be too bad to be up that late, but more or less not really a good idea, especially like I said in the downtown metropolis of many of these major cities where there are a lot of YNs around or people of lower value. I'll put it that way. People of lower value. Um, Connor says, "Oh yeah, I try to avoid those late night foods. I'll drink some water and go to bed." Yeah, I haven't eaten it, but I remember that came out when I was still um was I still in undergrad? Yeah, I was still well, I had an extended undergrad, so um between undergrad and starting grad school, I remember that store first popped up on in the camp on my campus, midnight cookies, and like I said, you could order cookies or ice cream late at night. and I think they delivered to you, which was made it cool. Like so, they would deliver on campus or to like nearby off campus housing. But I never ordered any because I was like, I never had any meat because when it was late night, I usually wanted like food. The place you'll only know about this if you're from Maryland, specifically like the Baltimore, Washington area. But Danny's Carryout was the shit. That was our main, the two main places we hit at nighttime in College Park, Maryland, or if you lived in DC, if you live anywhere in the greater DC area, Danny's Carryout. There was one in Laurel, there was one in College Park, there was one out, there was one in DC, and there was another one in Charles County. um, Dan, we on College Park late at night, everyone used to either hit up Danny Carryout um, or Wawa. And Wawa, they just people had no chill. They would just like blatantly steal out of Wawa. Like I literally had like drunk white dudes like, "Yo, what what you get out the store?" I was like, I just bought a sub. He's like, "You bought a sub?" He said, "Man, I just stole this and that." I'm like, "What?" Like they didn't give a fuck. They just stole out of Wawa. They didn't care. uh, I was I seen it just as thuggery. Yeah, that's fair. He said, why are the words MLK forgotten so much these days? Um, Probably because I guess we're 60 years removed from it, and a lot of people never took it to heart in the first place. I guess, but yeah, Danny's Carryout and Wawa was the shit. So I never did midnight cookies, but usually within the safety of a college campus, late night, being up past 1 a.m. wasn't bad because you had a lot of people up that late who were studying. You had a lot of people up that night who were throwing campus parties, frat parties. Um, you had people out up late at night just having um, what we call bull sessions. You know, just up talking about bull. Usually, just up talking about the latest stuff they just learned, like having these little bull sessions. And you had people, you know, getting in, getting into some skullduggery, you know, or working because I mean, some people worked late, some people stayed up late to work. Because, like I said, most college kids had a messed up, sense of day and night. We stayed up pretty much all night and slept throughout the morning and would take most of our classes scheduled for the afternoon. Um, but yeah, a lot of us will be up late at night, especially between Thursday and Sunday. A lot of us were up because for a lot of us, some of us didn't have classes on Friday, and if it was a class on Friday, it was just like a discussion or a lab. So most of our classes were between Monday and Thursday, and then you might have like one or two discussion or lab classes on Friday, depending on your major. But people would stay up all night Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and yeah, I mean it was chill. But once you leave the academic environment, staying up late really isn't worth it. Like I said, I can see going to the clubs, but if you going into little, if you going somewhere where the nightlife is often punctuated with violence, it's not worth being up that late. Cincinnati is one of those places where apparently the nightlife is punctuated with violence, as is places like Baltimore and Philly, or places like Newark, New Jersey, or Camden, New Jersey, um, parts of New York City, Chicago, of course. Um, I guess parts of LA, but LA was chill when I was out there late at night. Of course, I wasn't in like the bad parts. I was hanging out in the safer places, Hollywood and Chinatown, um, stuff like that. But Carmen says college kids, we were late smashing. Oh yeah, that's what I meant when I was talking about the skullduggery. That's late night smashing. But really, well, in college, people were getting it in all times of day. I mean, let's be honest. You might come from your like you might get it in between classes. Like I say, if you had a 10 a.m. class and then your next class wasn't until 2 p.m., I mean, look, people and then people were people were getting it in the stacks. I think I think every like college campus has like the library with the several floors of stacks, and late at night people would get it in the stacks. I never did in my place, but I remember me and this chick almost smashed in another library because we had like several libraries on the campus. It was another part of another library on campus where they held like all the like I guess like films and stuff like that. And that was apparently a popular place to smash. And we almost went there. I actually did not have the intention of doing that, but I think she did because she was the one who asked me did I want to go down there. I was semi innocent back then, semi. But getting off getting off the college reminiscing. Yeah, I mean, outside of like an academic environment uh or like say like a hospital environment or something like that, nothing good happens at 3 a.m. So if you out drunk, you need to just take your butt home. I mean, if you need to, stop at IHOP or 7-Eleven or McDonald's, don't go to a Waffle House though. If you go into a Waffle House at 3 a.m., you need to know how to fight, and you should probably have a concealed carry. I'm just saying, if you go in a Waffle House at 3 a.m. drunk, you already know what time you're in for. You might as well just start stretching. Like if you go in a Waffle House at 3 a.m., just start stretching before you get there. Just stretch it out. Crack the neck a little bit. Start doing your wrist rotations. Do all that because you getting it in. You getting it in at the Waffle House. If you go to the Waffle House at 3 a.m., you getting it in. Yeah. Agnes says I work a lot in college. Not one of those kids I was. I work a lot in college. Um, Not one of those kids I was either practicing for my volleyball ball game. So that's how y'all know Agatha probably got a good body, y'all. She played volleyball. I've never seen a volleyball chick that wasn't like didn't have like that smashable body. Like volleyball, I don't know, female volleyball and female basketball athletes are completely different bodies types, which is funny because there are some chicks who play both basketball and volleyball, but the ones who usually just play volleyball, they used to have some dope bodies. They had thighs for some reason. Like all the volleyball, I don't know. Maybe Agatha can explain it, but all the volleyball girls had thighs. The basketball girls didn't. The pretty like I don't even like her, but so like the prettiest chick I've seen playing like basketball has so far has been Angel Reese, and she is a lady Terp, by the way. So I don't really like her, but I try not to diss her too much because she is a fellow Terp. So I do support my Lady Terps, the team, um, and I try not to go out of my way to diss another Terp alumnus as well, alumnum, whatever is it alumnum, whatever, alumnus, but she is exceedingly annoying. And I hate how people keep saying she's from Baltimore. She's not from Baltimore. She's from Randallstown. Randallstown is as Randalltown Randallstown is as much Baltimore as as Long Island's New York City. Like, no. Now, Randallstown has gotten ratchet over the past 20 years, but it's still a far cry from Baltimore. I mean, first of all, it's like 30 like it's like 30 minutes away driving from Baltimore. Like it's over, it's like 30 minutes away. It's like going up Route 26 when you're going out towards um, Carroll County and then Frederick County out, out, which is basically going out towards Western Maryland. Like you hit like, Carroll County, Frederick County, um, Hagerstown, like out that way towards Western Maryland. So Randallstown is not this Baltimore city. So I hear how they always say, yeah, she's from Baltimore. She made it from, from a, rough beginning. I'm like, no, she didn't. She's from Randallstown. She didn't make it out. She didn't come out. She didn't struggle coming out the hood. Maybe her parents were originally from Baltimore City, but she grew up in Randallstown. So anyway, Howard says I really enjoy not living city life, rural Midwest county country living for me. I mean, yeah, I lived in Illinois as a kid, but where I lived, I would not move back there. Like I could move if I did move back to Illinois, I would either have to live like in like Chicago, and I'm talking about North Chicago, like North or West Chicago, like the good areas, or in Springfield, somewhere like that. But I couldn't live in that same rustic area that I used to live in. One, because all the ratchets got pushed out to that area, even though we were an hour away from the city. For some reason, a lot of people from Southside Chicago migrated to that quiet area where I used to live in Illinois. And apparently some of them were from the closed down projects of Cabrini Green, if you ever heard of it. You might have heard of Cabrini Green if you ever watched Candyman. So that was a real housing project, a notorious place in Chicago. If I moved back to the Midwest, I no, I couldn't do it. Like I have to live close to like a major city. Now, when I'm overseas, I definitely want to live in a big city. So back in the Philippines, like Metro Manila, or Tokyo would be my number one place to live. Tokyo is the best, but it's expensive. It's hard for foreigners to get housing, and since I'm already married, it's not like I can find a Japanese woman that where I would find housing through having a relationship with her. So both my wife and I will both be foreigners in that country, so it will be harder to get good housing, and like I said, it's expensive. What is affordable in Tokyo is food. Food is very affordable in Tokyo, and you can literally Tokyo being the biggest metropolis in the world, you can literally find any food in Tokyo. And I'm serious. Like you can find Jamaican food there, Agatha. Like you can find Jamaican food and or you can find well, I'm pretty sure you can find stuff like even stuff something as remote as like Turkish food or something. But it, I would definitely want to live in a big city when it comes to living overseas. But when it comes to living in America, I don't want to live in a big city, but I want to live near one. So I want to live in Baltimore, but near Baltimore. I wouldn't want to live in New York City, but near New York City. Well, no, I would live in New York, but for political reasons, I don't want to live in New York City. Not to mention the the cost of living. Like Agatha could attest, is just ridiculous. Like if you're not making like if you're not making like around 200,000 a year, forget about it. Because like the average cost of rent is probably like 5,000 a month for a 1 bedroom unit. So, because volleyball chicks are fire. I know, right? There's a few that I tried to date back in college. This is great thighs. Yeah, I know. Carlin says, "Yep." I guess my mom used to order my dinners for me. Wasn't a partying type. My focus was academics and my sports because I had to maintain my scholarship. But that's different, Agatha. You are a student athlete. Student athletes live a completely different lifestyle than the average college student. Like a student athlete, like you're like a student athlete. You're semi pro. So you're living a completely different lifestyle than the average college student. But like I said, the female student athletes used to turn me on though for some reason. Like it was like it was a track, it was a chick who ran track. I fancied this little Jamaican chick. I think she was Jamaican. I think she was Jamaican. But I had a crush on. I used to love West Indian girls back then. Anyway, I used to have a my thing was like West Indian women, and I always had them. I always try to get them to speak to me in patois or Creole if they're like Haitian or whatever. And for some reason, Caribbean women like me. Caribbean and African women like me. And it's funny too because I always, even today, people ask me what am I, because a lot of people don't believe I'm just Black American. Like they think I'm something else. But they usually think I'm either mixed or that I'm like Dominican or Ethiopian or something. I don't know if it's my hair texture or just facial features. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can tell me. But in any case, I used to have a huge I, I used to have a big thing for West Indian women back in college. So I was often the type that I dated. Like the matter of fact, my last black girlfriend, she was Caribbean. Like um she was Jamaican, and I think she had a little bit of Haitian. I think she was, yeah, Jamaican, mostly Jamaican. I think she had some um, Haitian or Haitian or Afro Latina in her as well, which is typical. Plus, she was from the part of Baltimore that I'm originally from, where there are a bunch of West Indian black people. So I was accustomed to living around West Indian people anyway, because um, where I'm originally from, Park Heights, Baltimore, there is a large um, West Indian. There's a large West Indian community in Park Heights, Baltimore. That's where Jada Pinkett is also from. Her mother is Caribbean, so a lot of people out of Park Heights, are Caribbean, which is interesting because Park Heights is one of the most violent parts of in Baltimore, and it's already been remarked that a lot of the street life in the New York tri-state comes from the Caribbean and Afro Latino people, not from the foundational Black Americans who migrated there. Since like over half of the Black people there are from the Caribbean or the African continent. Like I think FBAs make up only half or less of Black people within the New York tri-state. I think less than half. Like the majority are like either Caribbean, Afro Latino, or African. Carlin says if you look at the initials NY and reverse it, you get YN. New York is full of them. Yeah, but New York ain't the New York ain't New York isn't as wild as it was. It is getting bad again now because of again the local politics. But that same thing is happening here in Baltimore, where you're having people, you having these black Democratic leaders who are very soft on crime, which basically is enabling these dudes to act up because they know that there's not a lot of repercussions to their behavior. Like some of these minors, these YNs, are actively committing crimes while they're wearing the bracelets, the ankle monitors. Like they're literally on home detention with these ankle monitors, and they're still committing crimes with the freaking ankle monitors on because they don't care. Like I said, yes, New York is very expensive. Yep. Current says for every 10 black people in New York, one is only FBA. I would. That's probably about right. Like I said, I don't know the exact makeup. I could look it up, or if you guys want, or can Google it. I'm pretty sure it might even be in the CIA World Fact Book if I looked it up. If I looked up New York City, but yeah, only I think at best half of the black people are actually Black American. The majority are of Caribbean descent, Afro Latino descent and African descent. And no diss to them, by the way. I'm not. That's not me saying there's anything wrong with that. Um, my point is just that often they try to delineate themselves by saying, we're such and such. We're Jamaican, we're Dominican, we're Haitian. But most, like I said, some of the most the most violent places in New York City are usually in those black immigrant communities in the Caribbean and Afro Latino communities. And like I said, and like I remarked about Park Heights, Baltimore, is that it's one of the most violent places in the city, and it has a large, um, it has a strong Caribbean population. And like I said, no diss to them. Like I said, my nanny was Jamaican, so some of the first like non-medical food I ate because I had to be on a medical diet as an infant. But some of the first non outside of my nana, um, she's just straight from the south. Um, my nana Aunt Dolores, she she used to fix me like fried pork chops and all that sort of stuff. Mind you, I was a Muslim as a child, so not only was I not supposed to be eating meat because of my medical diet, but I wasn't supposed to be eating pork because I was Muslim. So, I know I'm going down a little rabbit hole. Trust me, I'm gonna circle back around. But aside from her, like a lot of the first foods I ate were Jamaican food. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to eat it because of my medical diet, but she would tell my mom, "Yeah, look, he likes it." Damn right, I liked it. Still do. That's why I was happy. I found like so in the Philippines they love Jamaican beef patties, but luckily also I also found a Jamaican restaurant. I think it just opened up a few years ago, and it's in Makati. I think it was in Makati. It was either in Makati or BGC because those are usually the two major areas for upscale upscale Filipino lifestyles. Is like BGC, which stands for the Bonifacio Global Center, which is actually not a city itself, but it's like a city. Well, it's like a district between three different cities in Metro Manila: Taguig, Makati, and uh, I think Pasay or something. But anyway, BGC is known as a pretty upscale place. That was like the place my wife and I almost lived instead of where we chose in Mandelion. Um, and then Makati, which is sort of like Makati is sort of like the Manhattan of Metro Manila. But yeah, found a Jamaican spot there. Haven't tried it yet. I've tried the beef patties in a few places because I think they still sell them in the 7-Eleven over there. But there's like little restaurant kiosks that sell beef patties, so you can still quench a Caribbean thirst. Although, like I said, Metro Manila it has some diverse food things. Like they got Popeyes down there, they got Shake Shack there now, they got Panda Express there, which is kind of funny because it's a fake Chinese takeout in a Philippine in the Philippines, but whatever. Um, whereas Tokyo, you can find everything. Tokyo's the I think Tokyo's as far as I can recall is the largest metropolis per capita in the world, and so you can pretty much get anything there. It's just that Tokyo is expensive. Not as expensive as living in New York City, though. I think I I don't think it's as expensive as living in New York or San Francisco or DC, but it's still expensive for the average income earner. since the average income earner here is like making 50,000 a year, you can live in Tokyo, but you're not gonna you, you're not gonna be flashy with it if you're living in Tokyo. But if you want to live in other parts of East Asia, you can live really well for 50,000. You can ball out um, the Philippines. Now again, if you want to live in those upscale Philippine places like BGC, Makati, or Taguig, or even parts of Quezon City, then it's going to be as expensive as living here, like living in New York, if you want to live in those upscale Filipino places. But if you would just want to live like in a modestly good place, 50,000, you would be you would be considered uh, a high income earner at that amount of money in the Philippines. But if you want to live an upscale lifestyle, then you're going to still have to pay the same prices you would here. But other than that, you can still live very well if you choose not to ball like you choose not to live in a really expensive place like BGC or Makati. And of course, that same thing in Thailand. Uh, you can live really well on 50,000 if but again, if you try to live like an upscale Thai person, then yeah, it's going to cost you like it would cost you here. And like I said, upscale. When I say upscale, it's different because upscale for them is like upscale here. Like upscale here is like you living in you living in Midtown Manhattan, or somewhere nice in San Francisco or L.A. or D.C. Like that's what I mean. Like their upscale is like our upscale, but their but their middle upper class uh is very easily attained there. So like I said, at the Americans average income of around 50,000, you will ball out in those places in East Asia, particularly Southeast Asia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. Don't live in Burma, but you can visit Burma, um, as well as Indonesia, Malaysia. Um, Singapore is a little expensive. Singapore is sort of like is sort of going to be like Tokyo. Singapore is expensive. I don't think it's as expensive as Tokyo, or probably similar, but Singapore is going to kind of Singapore is going to run your pockets like Tokyo will. Taipei, um, I'm not sure, but Taipei and Taiwan and South Korea uh, are going to be similar. So living in Seoul in South Korea is going to be similar to like Tokyo or Singapore. Agnes is not in New York. Carlin says, I know a YouTuber that's been living in Thailand for 2 years because it's cheaper than living here. It is. It's much cheaper. Southeast Asia is way cheaper. Like people talk about how cheap it is in Colombia and Dominican Republic. It's still cheaper in Southeast Asia than compared to Colombia. And because my cousin goes, he just went somewhere today to somewhere in South America. South America is cheap, but Southeast Asia is way cheaper than South America, and and it's it's um it's safer. Like yeah, Colombia is cheap, but then you gotta pay. You know, my cousin was like, yeah, as long as you just hire some private security, something you good or something, something. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to do that in the Philippines. I don't have to hire private security. I don't have to make sure that that I I'm vetting these women so they don't put scopolamine in my food. Like that, they don't do that in the Philippines, man, or in Thailand or in Cambodia, or Vietnam. Like it's much safer over there. They don't value life in Latin America like they do in other parts of the world because it's so bad there. Like I would not live in like I will visit Latin America, but then there's no way I would expatriate to Colombia or the DR. There's way too much stuff going on. But if you like YouTubers in Thailand, there's a bunch that you go watch, Carlton. Like there's Zoom to Thailand with Richie Mack, who was a an actor here in America to move to Thailand. He lives there with his girlfriend, El Boogie, he calls her. um, and there's a bunch of other black YouTubers in Thailand as well. Agus says Taiwan is good also. Okay, I wasn't sure. Like I know Taiwan isn't as cheap as Southeast Asia, but is I know it's more affordable than Japan. And when I'm saying and when I'm referring to Japan, I'm only talking about Tokyo because outside of Tokyo, Japan is very affordable. The problem is most people don't want to live in those prefectures, and on top of that, unless you are a digital nomad, you probably won't be able to live in those prefectures anyway because there's no jobs. Most most of those prefectures are losing their populations because most of the young people move off to either Tokyo or Osaka. So you'll find most of you'll find most of Japan's population in Tokyo and Osaka, which again, that's why I said like Tokyo is the largest metropolis in the world per capita because everyone in Japan is moving there, or if not to Osaka. Um, but Japan is very affordable out of Tokyo, but again, to live in those rural prefectures, you need to have some sort of passive means of income, or you have to be a digital nomad because there aren't very many jobs for foreigners in those prefectures other than as a teacher. Like the only way you're probably going to be in those prefectures is probably as a teacher because more than likely those people who come to Japan, because that's usually the biggest way a lot of people end up moving to Japan, is that they become English teachers over there. And usually they do assign those English teachers to prefectures, not to Tokyo, because most of the young people in Tokyo are already taught English in their schools. But they usually hire Americans, uh, and people from other countries as well to teach English in a lot of those rural prefectures in Japan, where you can find wholesome living, quality women. You're not going to find just a bunch of uh, gaijin hunters in the prefectures. Gaijin hunters are the Japanese women who seek out Western men just for the thrill of dating Western men or the status of walking around with a Western man. But usually they aren't interested in like long term relationships. They're just in it to get banged out or to have an American wrapped around their arm so it confers some status. But outside of Tokyo and Osaka, there's going to be less of those gaijin hunters and more likely to find women who genuinely would be interested in someone in like a long term relationship. Carter says I can live off yellow chicken curry and Thai tea. Howard says I follow a guy who's an expat living in the Philippines. He's digging it. But there's so many expat YouTubers in the Philippines. I can I, it it would take me a while to think of all of them. I've checked out quite a few of them. Um, some are better, some are worse. Like some some of those YouTube, some of those YouTuber expats in Philippines. Some of them are kind of dusty. Some of them are kind of cool. I guess because I love the life in Taiwan. Only thing the guys look too feminine, not macho for me. Well, yeah, because they are the in China and in South Korea. There's this whole thing called the flower boys. So in mainland China, they've kind of like made you know put these like social restrictions on that so that you find less men being openly effeminate because it's shunned in mainland China because they want the men to be more masculine, obviously for military purposes. But you'll see more of those flower boy, that sort of flower boy phenomena in like places like Taiwan and South Korea. I even see it a bit in the Philippines as well, where they're trying to basically emulate Korean men. Because I think it pretty much started in South Korea now. A lot of people are trying to imitate that, and usually the girls like it, but usually the older women prefer the more masculine Korean men. They don't like the flower boys. They usually like the flower boys, as teenagers or like in their early 20s, and then they grow out of that and tend to want more masculine looking men. So, Carson says Japan looks like that live action film of Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, that's a classic. Ghost in the Shell. That's a classic anime. Well, you mean Tokyo looks like that? Well, yeah, some parts of Tokyo are like that because, like I said, it's like well lit all night. A lot of people. I mean, a lot of those lights up in those huge towers because a lot of people work all day, all night because they work for these oppressive companies that exploit their labor. So they'll a lot of those lights are up because people are working all night. Then then on the lower level, you have people just going about their lives. Uh, then another thing is because in Japan, because of there's less retail space and stuff like that, you would just have things built on top of another instead of like separate buildings. So you'll have like a 7-Eleven, um, and on top of that, there might be like a restaurant or something like that. So you'll see layered buildings where there's like multiple different like retail um locations in one building. So that's what gives it that effect of like it always looking very busy. So, but like I said, outside of Tokyo, it doesn't look like that. It A lot of Japan outside of Tokyo and Osaka and Fukuoka looks pretty rustic. So outside of the big cities or Nagasaki or a couple other big cities, even parts of Okinawa, because um, you have a lot of the American military in Okinawa, and it's kind of lit. There's like a lot of bars and nightlife around in Okinawa, to cater to the military folks, and a lot of girls be out there partying with Americans out there. So, but yeah, that whole Ghost in the Shell thing, or Akira, and all those other famous like visualizations, usually are either images of Tokyo or Osaka. Like for instance, like Kyoto is very traditional. Like that's the imperial capital, so it looks very traditional. You're not gonna see It's not gonna look like that in places like Kyoto, and in other places like that. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. This was supposed to be about the Cincinnati Brawl, so bring that all the way back to that. I was saying basically that outside of some specialized environments like medical settings or academic settings, it's usually not a good idea to be out past 3 a.m. And like I said, most young people don't even hang out that late anymore. So the ones who are out that late are usually up to no good. Those are the YNs, right? Because, like I said, it's the trend with not staying out late started with Gen Z. It didn't start with us older folks. It was Gen Z that started coining the term that 9 p.m. is the new midnight. So they're the folks who don't like to be up late. Um, so when you see the ones up that late, probably best to avoid them. Howard says, "Good night, enjoyed it." Thank you, man. What's up, AC? I'm not gonna use that day. That Extreme Labs went right at it. I ain't even dag, dang. my new cloud bot just automatically yeah, doesn't like this. Yeah, I did put that in no spam and caps. Carlos says Gen Z don't have energy. No, it's actually it's the opposite. It's not that they don't have energy. It's that Gen Z was born into the hustle culture. So the whole hustle culture is, the rise and grind sort of thing. So I actually admire them for that. They all talk about 9 p.m. is the new midnight because they're all about the rise and grind culture. So I admire that. That's actually a good thing. Whereas, we would stay out all night and then sluggishly get up and start the day, usually late in the morning or early afternoon. But they're all about the rise and grind culture. So I get it. That's why they say 9 p.m. is the new 12 is the new midnight because they're all into the hustle and rise and grind culture, which may not be healthy, but it's probably better than staying up all night. And so if you find yourself drunk out of a bar at 3 a.m., don't put your hands on people and don't let them put their hands on you. I'll say that. But also, do not disrespect young black men. Just because they don't look tough does not mean they won't put hands on people, right? I don't don't put hands on these young black dudes because these YNs will scrap. And again, they don't have they they don't care about your age, they don't care about your race, and they don't care about your gender. And apparently, like I said, the guys who initiated the fight in the first place weren't regular white people; they were Russians. And these Russians, apparently often slapped some black women, and that's what triggered these YNs. And they took it too far. Like beating up the guy is one thing, but once they started mobbing all these folks and beat up a white woman who wasn't doing anything other than she just didn't want the guy to get beat up anymore, like that was taking it way too far. So again, there was no heroes in that situation. They were all drunk. They all should have been. None of them should have been putting their hands on other people, and there was no point in being out that late because there's nothing good happening at 3 a.m. And that's where I'm going to leave this. Mary says, and I thought I was contrary. That sounds like some Run DMC. She said, hey, that's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, sorry you caught me at the tail end of this live stream, but I mean, you can feel free to watch the beginning of it. As soon as I end this, it will be uploaded for everyone's viewing pleasure. If you guys get a chance, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, share the video, and if you want, you can donate. As you see here, um, you can buy me a coffee or you know, hit me on a cash app at just $ just a contrarian, or you can just hit me with a super thanks here. She says that's okay. I'm already subscribed. Cool, thank you. All right, guys, I'm out pretty soon. Oh, I got my third partner perks, which is uh my YouTube clapper board. So pretty soon I'm gonna be ending my videos with my YouTube clapper board where I'll be like cut, hit my little clapper board. So I got all of my partner perks and I'm up for a potential prize. So my three part my three YouTube partner perks. Shout out to YouTube hashtag YouTube partner perks. Um, so I got 6 months of premium YouTube. Um, that's cool. So I downloaded some martial arts videos. Uh, I got a free AMC movie ticket, so I'm gonna use that probably tomorrow or Friday to go see Fantastic Four. Since it's free, I don't mind going to go see it. Excuse me. And I was also entered into a potential winning for like $1,000 that I would share with the person I collaborated with on a video. So that won't be Miss Needle. I didn't enter that one. Instead, I entered the first person I ever did a collaboration with, which is Glam Lux. Go check out her channel. She's a Filipina that talks about like beauty and fashion. She also does tarot card readings if people are into that thing. But I have not seen any of her videos of her doing that. So I don't know if she still does that anymore because that was like 3 years ago. But she's very pretty. She's very friendly. You know, like we before we even live stream, we talked on video for like 3 hours just off off YouTube. So she's mad cool. Her her real name is MJ, but her YouTube channel is Glam Lux. So she's the first person I collaborated with. So through her, I got my free AMC movie ticket for my partner perks, and we were both entered for a chance to win $1,000, which we'll split. That's fine with me. The 500 will just I'll end up spending it on something for my wife anyway. Don't tell her that. Uh, and then the third partner perk is the free YouTube clapper board. So I'm gonna start using that at the end of my videos. Uh, Marriage is by where you can hit share and not actually share. It still counts. YouTube doesn't track it. Oh, cool. I think she's a talk to you later. Congratulations on that. Thank you. Um, I guess a nice congratulations. Thank you. Anyway, guys, I gotta go to bed. Good night. Have a good one. And my little moderator cloud bot came in just in time. So hit that subscribe button to help me out, guys. Thank you. Have a good night.